Okay, so it's September, the end of September, and I'm recording this at the beginning of September. It's kind of like a Back to the Future moment for me. I'm living in the past, recording in the past for the future. It's called batch recording. It's called recording in advance. It's called technology. I found out that I can do something in the past that you're listening to now in the future, which is so Back to the Future-ish. Marty! Right? It's really kind of cool that we can do this. So, the question of the month for September is simply, what's one piece of advice you'd have for a new podcaster? It could be about anything to do with podcasting. What is your advice to a new podcaster? One piece. One, not 35 and a half. One piece of advice for a new podcaster. Makes you think. If you only had one thing to suggest, what would it be? So you have responded, as always, the great, amazing listeners of the How to Podcast series. You've responded. All of the responses compiled into one episode, a mega episode of the How to Podcast series featuring you. Again, the reason for this podcast episode, the question of the month, it's really not about the question, and it's really not about your answer. It's more about you promoting your show. That's it. I want people to fall in love with you because you are awesome. And I want people to connect with you. So, in true How to Podcast fashion, here are some of my best podcasting friends, listeners of this show, people we've been in touch with, in contact with around the How to Podcast series, responding to the question of the month for September 2024. What is one piece of advice for a new podcaster? Are you ready? Well, here we go. Thanks for listening. Cue the people.
Welcome. You've got mail.
Hi, How to Podcast series family. It's Scarlett Classic from the Classic Advice Podcast, where I share my life advice and experiences with the purpose to inspire and challenge us to become better versions of ourselves. Well, that's a little bit about my podcast. Dave, this is in response to your question of the month for September. And it was, if I could give one piece of advice to a podcaster that's just starting out, just one. I really had to think long and hard about this because there were so many things that came to mind. But I do understand why you said just one, because it really forces us to think about just that one what's the most important piece of advice. And I think the most important piece of advice that I could give is to simply reach out. Come join the Saturday meetup group. The group of people that is in there, they are the best people in the world. And reach out to Dave. Reach out to him because he honestly is one of the best humans that you will ever meet and is so knowledgeable when it comes to podcasting. He really knows his stuff and he's humble enough to tell you when he doesn't know or says, you know what? Someone else that I know does this better. Let me send you to them instead. But podcasting can be a very lonely place, especially when you're just starting out. I started out back in March. It is September. So that's March, April, May, June, July, August. Okay, so I've been doing this for 6 months, half a year. I have 9 followers. Now, these are 9 people that every single week they show up for me, which is absolutely amazing. It is amazing to me. But if you think you're going to grow really, really fast right away, and I get it, I'm not really doing all the social media stuff. It's on my list of things to do, but there's just a lot to do in the background when it comes to podcasting. And a lot of it I needed help for. And had I not reached out to Dave, had I tried to do this all on my own, had the whole meetup group on Saturdays, if we didn't have this little community of podcasters that get together on a regular basis, that are just here for you. And we do community and we do life together and talk podcasting. And when somebody has a question, we're all there to brainstorm or answer if somebody knows. It will change it changes the whole game of podcasting. And it makes it a world of difference. So that is it. I am going to wrap it up, leave it there. And yeah, so if you're humming and hawing, please do reach out. You're not alone in this. We are all here for you. Have an awesome day, you guys, and we will catch you next time. All right, bye.
Hello, Dave. This is Debbie McCulloch, the host of the podcast Older and Bolder with Debbie McCulloch. And I am responding to your September question of the month. And my one piece of advice for new podcasters is don't worry too much about the negative what ifs that you're going to think about. Don't think about what if I sound ridiculous? What if nobody listens to me? What if people think that my message is not worth listening to? What if I have technical difficulties? But try to focus on the what ifs and the opportunities. Think of, what if I inspire someone who is listening that I will never meet? What if it turns out to be the best experience of my life? What if I get to meet the most amazing people because they are guests on my podcast? What if I get some feedback that tells me that I'm inspiring people from all around the globe, or people that you could have never imagined? So focus on the positive what ifs, because you really have so much more to gain than you have to lose. And I really think that's my best piece of advice for a new podcaster. And it reminds me of Dave's Appleseed series he did a while ago, where he quotes that you can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you cannot count the number of apples in a seed. So you never know what the ripple effects could be just by going out there, putting yourself out there and starting your podcast. So focus on the potential opportunities and the wonderful things that could just happen to you because you start your podcast. Thanks, Dave, for giving me this opportunity.
Hey, Dave. I am calling about the September question of the month. And I just recently started listening to the How To Podcast series podcast. And I know when I was listening to your voice, I knew that I subscribed to a few of your podcasts. I'm not sure which ones, but your voice was very familiar. So I know, and when I saw your name or heard your name, I knew that I do subscribe to other of your podcasts, but I am calling specifically about the How To Podcast series. My tip for new podcasters, would be to just start messy. Don't worry about, all of the logistics of having a theme song or what, all of the other little things that I felt like can get you stuck. I am 220 episodes in. My podcast is Moms Without Capes. I offer practical solutions for helping moms reclaim their sense of self within motherhood. When I started my podcast, it was basically on a whim. I had no plan. I had just been listening to podcasts and I thought, what the heck? Let me just start one. I really honestly had no business. Well, I had a business, but I had no business starting a podcast because I really didn't know what I was doing. But I had to have that first show. And I discovered when I started talking into the microphone, I really enjoyed it. I started by just repurposing some Facebook Lives that I had done. And then I started adding in some guests. I really just it has transformed, or it's definitely changed over the years that I've been doing podcasting. I'm 3 years in now, more than 3 years in, and I have experimented, tried different things, but all along I just wanted to start. And so that is my biggest advice to those who are thinking about podcasting or are new to it. Just start. So many podcasts, you'll look on it and they have like 5 episodes, and then back in the year 2000 and they never picked it back up. You just need to just keep going with it, because you have to have that messy first one. You have to have a messy second one in order to refine and get better at the craft. So that is my advice. Take it or leave it. Thanks, Dave.
Hello, Dave. It's JJ from What's Your Ripple, messaging you to answer your question of the month. So what is the one piece of advice I would give to a new podcaster? Would be to embrace your differences, embrace your uniqueness, and just be you. Now, there are plenty of podcasts out there, and somebody needs to hear you, needs to hear your voice, your uniqueness, because you are perfect in every way, because you are perfectly you, and you are the only one. Like you had mentioned, Dave, in your podcast, it's so true. You are the only one. So embrace that. That is my piece of advice. I embrace the fact that I'm different, and in the way that I've started Ripple Retreat, and I believe in positive ripples in the world and helping people find theirs. And I love what I do. And you know what? I get to help people. That's really, really cool. So whatever it is that you want to do a podcast about, go for it. Do it. I'm sure there's somebody out there that would love to hear it. And even if there isn't, just doing the podcast is so much fun and so rewarding, because you're doing something different and you're embracing your differences. So that's my advice. Embrace your uniqueness. Thank you, Dave, for the question of the month. I'm looking forward to October's. You all take care, and be sure to pause, love yourself, and be aware of your ripple. Thank you.
Okay, so thanks to everybody who was part of the question of the month for September. And we're looking forward to the question of the month for October. And I would love for your participation. I'd love for you to be a part of the show. I'd love to promote your podcast. And if you missed September, you can always do the October episode, okay? You really can. And I would really love to hear your voice. I'd love to introduce you to all my podcast friends so they can all come and love on you and listen to your show. So the October question of the month is coming up here in about a day. So please jump on it right away. Like, don't wait till the end of October to respond. You're a busy person. You got a lot going on. And I know I'm adding one more thing to your to-do list. I understand. But again, I'm hoping that it benefits you. I hope that people find out about you, fall in love with you, your show. So again, for the October question of the month, please respond. Please participate so that we can send more people to your show. The best way to grow your show is to get in front of people who actually listen to podcasts. And podcasters like to listen to podcasts. So get in front of people who really would care to listen to your show and would love to sponsor you and support you and buy you a coffee or leave you a message on SpeakPipe or whatever, to listen to your show in its entirety so that you get more credit for the listens for every episode. We're all here for you. And on top of the question of the month, reminder too that we do our weekly meetups on meetup.com for podcasters. We're adding some extra dates in October, so it's not just going to be on Saturdays at 11 Eastern. We're also going to be doing some stuff during the week as well, evenings and things, so we can get more people from around the world who are actually awake at that time of day. When we're based on the Eastern time zone, I would love to get more people like you to come join us on our meetup. It's a great way for us to get together, share our podcast journey, support each other, answer each other's questions, be there as a sounding board, and encourage each other. Get on to Zoom and just have a great conversation. You don't even have to come on camera. If you're a little bit camera shy, everyone is welcome. You don't have to have a podcast to come on our meetups. It's not requirement that you have to have an active show. You can just have an idea and you want to meet with other podcasters and bounce your ideas off of people. Share your artwork. Share your questions that you're going to be asking your guests. Ask anything and be a part of the conversation. Every week, three times of a month, we do like a topic and then a conversation around the topic, and then we go around and ask questions about anything. But once a month, we have an open question and answer. Anything you want to know about podcasting, come and be a part of some of the most amazingly smart people in this podcast space. It's not about Dave, me, answering your questions, it's about the group answering your questions and being there for you. So if you want to meet the greatest people in the world, come to our meetups every Saturday for sure, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then whatever time zone you're in, that'll translate. Or be on the lookout for additional sessions where we're going to get together and talk about podcasting. Love to have you there. Thanks for being part of the Question of the Month, everybody. Thank you for listening to the responses from our great podcasters in our space. Looking forward to having you right here for the month of October, answering October's Question of the Month. Thanks for listening. Take care. Keep podcasting and keep being you. There's a shortage of people just like you, and we need you. Thanks for listening.